The Outback Championship Wrestling podcast is brought to you with help from our sponsors. Hungry Jack's, the burgers are better at Hungry Jack's. Borchard and Moore, barristers and solicitors. Leah Siglar, Australasia. Ballarat Wildlife Park, where we like to take our international guests to cuddle koalas and pat kangaroos. Ashwood Secondary College, our home base. Park Regis Hotels. And Are You OK? You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/OCWAUS, follow us on Twitter at OCWAUS, and check our website, OCWAUS.com. On the very first edition of the Outback Championship Wrestling podcast, we're lucky enough to have not one, but two of our very special international guests, Mr. Ken Anderson and Alberto El Patron, who faced each other for the first time ever last Friday, the 20th of March 2015, in front of a sold-out crowd in Burwood, Melbourne, Australia. Today, they go head-to-head again on our podcast. As you can imagine, both men are in high demand and pressed for time, so we didn't get to speak to them for as long as we would have liked, and some technical difficulties cut our time in half even further. But we started out chatting to Mr. Anderson about his budding acting career, his thoughts on facing Alberto El Patron, Hornswoggle, and he's the first guinea pig to take the OCW taste test of Aussie foods. So let's get into it.
You know, when military people watch, they don't say, that's completely inaccurate. Like, I'll still watch movies and say, when it comes to a portion, whatever, when somebody's doing some procedural thing, and I'll say, like, that's not the way that they would do it. And so basically, I was able to draw upon that just to make sure that I was doing things properly. Yeah, definitely.
Sure. Is acting something you want to pursue further, either alongside wrestling or after wrestling?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I've been actively pursuing for, like, several years. It's when I was a kid, that's what I wanted to do. I remember I saw E.T. when I was like 5 or 6 years old in the theater with my mom, and since I saw that movie, I was like, that's what I want to do. And then it sort of morphed into, as I got older, I just want to entertain people. I don't know how that's going to happen. And then I found wrestling, and I just realized that it was such a blend of athleticism and acting together, and, you know, went down that path, but definitely would like to do more acting.
Sure.
That way I don't have to fall down for a living.
Yeah. You have someone else to do that for you.
Exactly.
A stunt double, if you will. You trained Hornswoggle, is that correct?
Well, I didn't necessarily train him. We just, we crossed paths a lot when we were doing independence in Wisconsin. We were on a lot of shows together, and when WWE, actually Tommy Dreamer was part of talent relations, and he was in charge of sort of bringing in new talent and things. He called me up one day and he said, "Do you know any midget wrestlers, little people?" And I said, "Yeah, actually, I know a guy. He's really good. He lives in Green Bay. He's actually from Green Bay." And I said, you know, I gave him a call and I said, "There's an opportunity for you to do a tryout. They want to have a mini-me for Fit Finley." And, you know, that was it. He came in and he did all the work on his own and basically won the tryout. Because there was like 4 or 5 other people that he was up against. And he blew everybody away in the tryouts. So,
cool.
Yeah.
There are a few other things I want to ask you, but we're very pressed for time. So let's go to what are your thoughts on facing Alberto El Patron for the first time tonight?
I'm excited about it. I have to be honest and say that I haven't watched a whole lot of WWE programming since I left. But I did happen to catch some of his stuff, and I was very impressed with what I saw. And so I'm really looking forward to it tonight.
And what are your thoughts about having his personal ring announcer, Ricardo Rodriguez, in the mix, being that, you know, ring announcing is sort of part of your gimmick as well?
Yeah, that's another thing that I hope we're able to sort of explore the possibilities of the two of us sort of having a little go at it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Now, when Ken came into the room, he was eyeing off the packet of Tim Tams on the table and asked if he could have one, and I said if he could please wait until the taste test portion of the program, which is now, so feel free to go ahead and have one of those.
Just go ahead and have one of these?
Yeah, and we've also got a couple of other things as well, if you don't mind. Have you ever had Vegemite before? Or heard of it even?
Vegemite?
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I've never had it.
And what have you heard about it?
I've heard that it's disgusting.
Would you be willing to try some that we prepared earlier? This isn't it. I'm just pouring the Milo at this stage.
I'll
The
give it a shot.
Vegemite is like a spread, which
like
is
disgusting vegetables and.
it's actually made out of yeast.
Oh, tremendous.
Which
That's
I'm
even better.
really selling it, aren't I?
Uh huh.
All right, could you just stir
So-
that?
Do you guys actually eat these?
Yeah, like
You
Vegemite
like
is
it?
something we have like for breakfast and stuff.
And you
I
like
like
it?
it, yeah.
You do?
But I grew up I think it's because we grow up with it. Do you want to just reach in and take one of those because they're like stuck together? Just
Am I just peeling off a piece of it?
yeah, just reach in and grab the the slice.
Right. Here goes nothing. So this is a Vegemite sandwich
Yes,
from the land down under.
yes. I'm impressed.
I love that song. Oh, I don't know. It smells like bread. So
But if you do nothing else in Australia while you're here, at least you can say you've had the infamous Vegemite sandwich.
what else is on there? Is there butter? Or
Oh, yeah,
anything?
butter and Vegemite. Yeah,
Okay.
you need to have the butter as well.
That's actually not that bad.
Good. Maybe because you had such, bad expectations.
Yeah, I did have low expectations.
Yeah. All right, good.
I wouldn't say that I would just eat it for fun,
Yeah.
but it's not bad.
Cool. Would you like to chase it down with some Milo?
What
It's
what
like
is
a
this?
chocolatey energy drink. Everyone who's had it thus far has liked it, so
Sort of like Metamucil, or not Metamucil.
Nez.
There was a drink in the States. I remember as a kid, they fed it to like old people. Geritol, maybe.
Okay.
Geritol.
We don't have that here, so I'll take your word for it.
All right.
And finally, Caramello Koala, please, Jason. So if you don't see a koala while you're here, at least you can say you've had a Caramello Koala.
Huh. Now that I like. I can tell you right now that I like this. I haven't even tasted it yet. And I did see a koala yesterday.
Ah, cool. Oh, yes, you went to the Ballarat Wildlife Park, didn't you? I saw
did.
some photos on
Fantastic.
Facebook.
Yeah.
You can have the rest of that if you like, or we can chuck it out for you.
I'll gladly
You'll have it. All
finish
right,
the rest
cool.
of it.
No worries. You can take a Tim Tam to go if you'd like.
All right.
Thanks for being here with us, Mr. Anderson. Would you like to take us out with one of your infamous Mr. Andersons?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can catch me on Push the Button Podcast. You can cut on iTunes, Stitcher. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Ken Anderson. You can follow me on Instagram at Mr. spelled out M-I-S-T-E-R Ken Anderson, and that is Mr. Anderson. Wait for it. Wait for it. Anderson.
Next up, we'll hear from Mr. Anderson's opponent last week, Alberto El Patron. We talked about Lucha Libre versus American wrestling, his heritage, some of his most memorable matches and opponents, and future wrestling and mixed martial arts prospects. Okay, welcome to the OCW podcast. I'm your host, Scarlett Harris, and we're very honoured today to have Alberto El Patron. Would you like to say hi to the OCW fans, Alberto?
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for the opportunity of coming here to Australia one more time.
Perfect. So let's get straight into it. So I guess apart from Rey Mysterio, you're probably the hottest commodity on the indie scene at the moment. Where else have you been wrestling since leaving WWE?
Well, everywhere. Mexico, Japan, here, Europe, and every single place in Europe. It's just... I'm going wherever people wants to see me, and if they pay me, I'll be there.
Well, we definitely want to see you here in Australia, so we're super excited to see you wrestling Mr. Kennedy tonight. First time ever, I believe.
Yeah, it's going to be the first time for us.
Perfect. Have you, I mean, I'm sure you would have seen him wrestle before, but have you done any research, into your opponent tonight at all, or you just sort of take it as it comes?
No, not really. When you have two experienced guys in the ring, you don't need to do that. It's just everything flows well when you have two good wrestlers and at the same time.
Yeah, perfect. So I'm just looking over my questions here because we only have a very limited amount of time, and I want to get the best possible questions and answers from you. All right, let's have a look. So let's talk a little bit about your heritage, I guess. So you come from a pretty legendary pro wrestling family, I guess you would say. What made you decide to get into the family business?
It's easy. I saw my grandfather, my uncles performing in the ring since I was a little kid, and of course I grew up admiring them and wanting to be like them, and that's the reason I'm here now. I was, like you said, I was born in the business, and I respect and love this as nobody else.
So you followed in your father's footsteps and wrestled under the name Dos Caras Jr. You were a masked wrestler as that character, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you feel about wrestling unmasked in WWE?
Well, it's different. Everywhere you go, the styles or what the companies or the audience wants from you is different. They don't the things that American fans enjoy, probably the Mexican fans don't feel the same way, and that's what happened with the mask. When I went to America, when I went to the other company, they wanted me without the mask because in that company you have to sell your expressions, your emotions. That's how you get into people's heart or minds, and at the time, they offered me something really good. They told me about the Alberto character and what they were trying to do with them, and of course, I said yes.
Great. And what about? Excuse me, voice cutting out a bit there. What did you feel about inducting your uncle Mil Mascaras into the Hall of Fame in 2012?
Well, it was fantastic. Just not just for me or for my family. It was something amazing for all the people in Mexico, because lucha libre or wrestling in Mexico is it's the way they feel wrestling or lucha libre in Mexico is totally different than anywhere else. In Mexico, it's part of our culture. It's more like we are like real superheroes. Like they see you different.
Absolutely. So going back to the mask thing, I guess your first feud in WWE was against Rey Mysterio. Had you ever wrestled each other before that?
If I have ever wrestled Rey before WWE?
Yeah.
No, that was our first time because. Ray started really young in Mexico, and I was still competing for Mexico in the Greco-Roman national team. And then when I started in wrestling, Ray was in WWE. So it was not until I moved to the States and I was hired by WWE when that match between Rey Mysterio and I happened.
Sure. So your personal ring announcer, Ricardo Rodriguez, is here with you tonight. How did that come about, as having him as your personal ring announcer? Did you know each other before, or was that purely...
No, that was going to be just one-time deal for him because they wanted to make a big impact for my debut. But he did such a great job that night that they ended up hiring him.
Great. But you guys are quite good friends now, I would imagine.
Oh, no, we're great friends, but we didn't know each other before WWE.
Sure. So WrestleMania is coming up this weekend. You had probably one of your most, at least from my point of view, memorable matches wrestling Edge in his last ever match at WrestleMania 27. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, it was great because it was my first WrestleMania, but... I mean, I had a lot of great matches in WWE, not just that one. Of course, I remember that one because it was Edge's last match. But I mean, all my other matches against other people were good. I enjoyed them all.
Great. You alluded before a little bit to your amateur wrestling background, and I guess you could say you're a bit of a jack of all trades when it comes to wrestling because you've also done MMA, haven't you? Would you ever consider returning to MMA at any point?
I don't think so. I've had several companies contacted me the last few months, and they all want me back in MMA, but it's not going to happen until they bring a big check to my house. I will say yes, but I don't think it's going to happen because we're so apart on what I need that what I need from them that I don't think it's going to happen.
And there was some internet rumors about Bellator approaching you. Was there any truth to those?
Yeah, every single company, every single MMA company out there, including the biggest one, contacted me. But again, we are so apart in the numbers, and they need to realize, understand that I'm one of the biggest names out there. I do fantastic in wrestling, just in wrestling, and the money they're offering me. When you go and do MMA, you need to focus at least for 3 months and go somewhere to do your training camp and everything. And I can make the same amount of money in pro wrestling in those 3 months. So it's not, to me, it's not worth it.
That concludes the first ever Outback Championship Wrestling podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Future guests of the podcast will include Alberto El Patron's personal ring announcer, Ricardo Rodriguez, former WWE superstar and current TNA star Brodus Clay, now known as Tyrus, as well as Robbie E. And as we're easing ourselves into it, you'll have to wait a whole month till our next podcast on Friday the 24th of April, the day prior to our Anzac Day show on Saturday the 25th of April at Ashwood Secondary College. And you can buy tickets for that via Ticket Booth. The links are on our website, which is ocwaus.com, via Facebook, facebook.com/OCWAUS, or via Twitter @OCWAUS. But we promise the wait will be worth it because we'll be speaking to none other than Outback Championship Wrestling's new World Heavyweight Champion, Drew Galloway. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Hungry Jack's, the burgers are better at Hungry Jack's, Borchard and Moore, barristers and solicitors, Leah Siglar, Australasia, Ballarat Wildlife Park, where we like to take our international guests to cuddle koalas and pat kangaroos, Ashwood Secondary College, our home base, Park Regis Hotels, and Are You OK?